Hello everyone. In today's session, we will be diving into one of the most practical and hands-on areas of Salesforce customization, buttons, links, and actions. We will begin with a brief introduction to understand what these tools are, how they fit into the user interface, and why they are so essential for improving user efficiency. Then we will explore the various types of buttons, links, and actions that Salesforce offers, ranging from standard built-in buttons to highly customizable ones, and how each type fits into different business scenarios. We will take a closer look at standard buttons such as new, edit, delete, clone, what they do, and when you might want to customize their behavior. After that, we will show a live demo on how to override a standard button, a common admin task when you want to guide users through a more structured workflow. Next, we will dive into custom buttons, links, and actions. These give us the ability to tailor Salesforce to our specific business needs, whether it is launching a flow, redirecting to an external resume link, or updating multiple records all at once. We will then go hands-on with few custom button demos based on the recruiting use case. So we will see exactly how to implement these in real-world scenarios. We will also cover global actions which are not tied to a specific object and can be used across the application. For example, logging an interview or launching a feedback flow from anywhere. And finally, we will end up with a quick recap to reinforce what we have learned and how you can start applying these tools in your own Salesforce environment. Let us jump right in. In this slide, we will highlight the importance of buttons, links, and actions in Salesforce and how they help users interact with the system effectively. These elements allow users to do things like navigate between records, launch automation, and connect to external systems, all with a single click. For example, a recruiter might click a shortlist button to trigger a flow that updates a candidate's status and sends an email notification. By placing these actions directly on record pages or in list views, users can complete tasks faster without switching screens or manually entering data. These features are available in both Salesforce Classic and Lightning Experience, ensuring consistency across interfaces, though Lightning offers more flexibility and modern features like dynamic visibility and component-based actions. In short, buttons, links, and actions are essential tool for improving user productivity, automation, and navigation within Salesforce. Salesforce provides various types of buttons, links, and actions. Standard buttons are built in with every object like new, edit, delete, and clone. They are designed for core CRUD operations and help users perform basic record level actions. While these buttons meet most needs, we can override them using Visualforce or Lightning components to inject custom business logic or user interface. Custom buttons and links offer much more flexibility. You can place them on record detail pages, list views, or even create redirecting links. Detail page buttons appear on the records action bar and can launch flows, components, or open URLs. Detail page links are displayed under custom links and are best for opening external systems like a resume document viewer. List view buttons allow performing actions on multiple selected records. These are especially useful and can be built using Visualforce or flows in Lightning. Quick actions provide a modern, flexible way to allow users to interact with records or perform tasks. There are two types of quick actions, object-specific and global. Object-specific actions are tied to a particular object. For instance, you can create a submit feedback action on a candidate record that launches a flow. Global actions are not tied to any specific object and can be used anywhere in the org. They are perfect for logging interviews or initiating tasks from the home page or utility bar. If you are using LWC or Aura, you can define custom buttons using Lightning button tag. These buttons can trigger Apex methods, navigate to other records, or launch screen flows. This is ideal when you need complex behavior, dynamic visibility, or responsive UI. Visualforce buttons are often used in classic or hybrid orgs. They rely on components like command button, command link, and can call Apex methods or JavaScript directly. These were more common before LWC became mainstream, but are still relevant in some legacy implementations. Salesforce also supports a set of mobile optimized actions. These include log a call, send email, or create a record, and are placed using the Salesforce mobile and Lightning experience action section in the page layout. These ensure that users can perform key actions even on the go. Dynamic actions allow us to show or hide buttons based on conditions like record field values or user permissions. For example, a hire a candidate button may only appear if the status is shortlisted. This improves user experience and minimizes clutter. We have seen the mobile and Lightning actions and dynamic actions in our earlier sessions. Now that we have seen why buttons, links, and actions are important and the types of buttons, links, and actions, let us look at the standard buttons that come built into Salesforce. These include common actions like edit, delete, clone, and submit for approval, and they are available by default on both standard and custom objects. These buttons give users a consistent way to manage records. For example, a recruiter might use a clone button to quickly duplicate a job posting with similar details. While these buttons are useful as is, Salesforce admins and developers can also override them with Visualforce pages or Lightning components. This allows us to control what happens when a user clicks the button, for example, launching a guided flow instead of standard form. This flexibility means you can align the user experience with specific business needs and workflows. Coming up next, we will walk through a demo on overriding the new button on the position object using a custom Lightning Web component. So far, we have looked at standard buttons and how they are used across Salesforce objects. Now let us take it a step further by overriding the new button on the custom object, specifically the position object in our recruiting app. Instead of opening the default record creation page, we can make this button launch a custom Lightning component that guides users through a multi-step wizard. This ensures a more structured data entry process, ideal for cases like job postings where details such as job level, domain, and certifications are critical. This kind of customization improves user experience, data quality, and workforce consistency. Let us navigate to setup, open the object manager, and go to the position object. Click on buttons, links, and actions section. This is where you can override the standard buttons. You can create custom buttons, links, and actions which are object specific. I want to override the new button. So I'll go to the drop box here, click on edit. You can override a standard button either by a Visualforce page or by a Lightning component. You cannot directly override a button using a Lightning Web component, but you can use the Aura component or the Lightning component. I have already created a Lightning component, so I'm just going to use that component for overriding this button. So I'll click on Lightning component, click on the drop down and select this create position action Aura. I'll click on save. Now when I go to my position object and click on new button, this will open the standard record selection page. Then after that, it will redirect to the Lightning component that I have built. If you remember, when we created a new position earlier, Salesforce provided a standard form where I can add all the data at once. In this example, I created a guided page or a wizard using a mix of Aura and Lightning Web component. So I'll give the position name, select the type of position. Since it is full time, I'll not select any contract duration. So customer facing role next. In the next page, I'm asking domain experience, functional area, then job level, open date, clicking on next, min pay, max pay, job description, and click on create position. So this will create a position and redirect to the position record. So in this way, you can override any of the standard buttons that Salesforce has provided. Usually the new button, list button, the edit button, the delete button, clone button, accept button. All these standard buttons can be overridden using either a Visualforce page or a Aura component. You cannot override the submit for approval button or some other buttons, but you can remove them from the layout and create your own buttons for them. Building on the previous example where we've overrode the standard new button, let us now explore the types of custom buttons and actions we can create to enhance user experience and streamline business processes in Salesforce. These custom elements allow us to trigger flows, open components, navigate to URLs, or run Apex logic, all with just a click. In Salesforce, we can create several types of custom buttons and actions to streamline processes and improve user experience. These include detail page buttons that appear on individual record pages, list view buttons for bulk actions on multiple records, URL buttons and custom links that redirect to external or dynamic URLs, and quick actions which can launch flows, components, or record creation forms either on specific records or globally across the app. Each of these options provides a flexible way to tailor functionality for your business needs, and we'll explore them in detail next. Building on the overview from the previous slide, let us now take a closer look at the four main types of custom buttons and links you can create in Salesforce and which are specific to an object, each offering unique ways to improve user experience and streamline tasks. Detail page buttons are added to a records page and can be used to trigger flows, execute Apex, or navigate to URLs. For example, a view resume button on candidate record might launch a component that displays the resume in a structured format. List view buttons appear in object list views and are designed for bulk actions on multiple selected records. A great use case is a bulk shortlist button that updates the status of several candidates once via a flow. Custom links are clickable links that redirect users to internal or external resources. For instance, a download resume PDF link can open a resume stored in a third-party system using the record's ID in the URL. Object-specific quick actions are designed to work within the context of a particular object. These actions can be placed on a record page and are commonly used to launch flows, open models, or create related records. For example, a scheduled interview action on a candidate record can open a screen flow that guides the recruiter through setting up interview details. Up next, we will walk through a demo of creating a custom detail page link to open a candidate's resume directly from their record. In the previous section, we covered the different types of custom buttons and links that can be added to Salesforce, including detail page buttons, list view buttons, custom links, and global actions. Now let us dive into a specific example of creating a custom link to open a candidate's LinkedIn profile. By implementing this custom link, we will provide a seamless way for users to access a candidate's LinkedIn profile directly from the candidate record, improving the overall candidate management experience. In Salesforce, a known limitation exists where custom links that reference fields storing URLs, especially URL fields and text fields, often result in unexpected URL encoding. Even if the URL is correctly stored, Salesforce may auto-encode it when used inside a custom link, rendering it as a unreadable string. To avoid this, it is recommended to use a formula field with the hyperlink function instead of the custom link. This approach ensures the link opens cleanly in a new tab without encoding issues and provides a more reliable user experience in Lightning. If you still want to continue using the detail page link, we will see how it can be achieved. We will also see the example on how to use formula field for this functionality. For this demonstration, I created a field called LinkedIn profile, which is of type text. So in order to create a detailed page link, you'll click on new button or link. This will open the metadata screen for the button or link. From this screen, you can create a detail page link, a detail page button, or a list button. For this demonstration, I'm going to create a detail page link. Let me call it as LinkedIn profile. So on candidate, I have a field called LinkedIn profile. So I'll select that field. When someone clicks on this link, display it in a new window. You have an option to display in new window or display in existing window or display in existing window without sidebar. So for this, I am selecting display in a new window and I am pointing it to the LinkedIn profile URL. I'll click on save. So now I have a custom link that I created. I'll go to the candidate layout and here there is a section called custom links section. You can add your links here. So I'll go to custom links. I'll add this LinkedIn profile to here. Let me click on save. Now I'll go to the candidate record. I open the record and in the custom link section, I see this LinkedIn profile too. This is the custom link that I created. And in the LinkedIn profile field that I created, let me add the LinkedIn URL and I'm clicking on save. Once I click on save, when I click on this LinkedIn profile to custom link, you will observe that Salesforce is automatically encoding the URL, which makes this URL unusable. And that's why you see this kind of error. So the URL is being automatically encoded by Salesforce when you are using it in a custom link. In order to solve this problem, instead of storing the entire URL, I can break this URL into pieces. So I'm just removing this hostname/in from the URL and I'm just storing the exact LinkedIn name of that user and clicking on save. I have created one more custom link or detail page link called LinkedIn profile. Instead of generating or using the URL from the field, I am hard coding the URL in this format. And in the LinkedIn profile variable, I'm just storing the actual user ID for LinkedIn. Since text field does not have a URL, Salesforce is not going to generate a URL encoding for that value that is there in that text field. I've already added it to the page layout. So when you go back to the record, when I clicked on LinkedIn profile, it is telling me that this is being redirected to a different page. Do you want to leave this page? I'm just clicking leave. This will take me to the LinkedIn profile of that user. So to reiterate, within a text field or a URL field, whatever URL you are storing will be automatically encoded when used directly in the detail page link. And the other problem that you observe here is when I click on the LinkedIn profile, since this is an external URL, user has to perform one additional action by clicking this leave button. In order to avoid this, what you can do instead of using the custom link, you can use a formula field. So custom detail page links are very good when resources are internal. If you still want to get through this limitation and still refer to an external URL like LinkedIn, the best and ideal option is to create a formula field and use the hyperlink option. Let us see that now in action. In the candidate object, I created a formula field called LinkedIn. Within this, I am using a hyperlink function. For this demonstration, I created one more field in my object called LinkedIn URL where I'm storing the entire external URL. So I want to display a LinkedIn image. This image is stored internally in Salesforce. Underscore blank here represents that the page will be redirected or opened in a new window. When you go back to your candidate record, you will observe that you will get a LinkedIn image here, and this is referring a field called LinkedIn URL where I'm storing the entire URL of my user's LinkedIn URL. So when I click on this link, now it directly redirects me to the URL. In the previous demo, we created a custom link to open a candidate's LinkedIn profile. Now let us enhance the job application list view by adding a shortlist button, enabling users to select multiple job applications and mark them as shortlisted in one click. This improves recruiter productivity by reducing repetitive manual updates and aligning with bulk selection workflows common in job application scenarios. In order to demonstrate this, let me log into my org. I'm going to set up an object manager, selecting job application, and going to buttons, links, and actions. Here I have already created a new button called bulk shortlist, which is of type list button. If you see the details of this button is of type list button. For this demonstration, I have created a Visualforce page called bulk shortlist VF. Visualforce page is a legacy UI application, and for list buttons, you can associate a Visualforce page, or you can write JavaScript, on-click JavaScript, or you can redirect to a URL. On-click JavaScript is not recommended for Lightning experience, hence I created a Visualforce page. This page takes the list of records and goes through each record and updates the status to shortlisted. This takes the job application record IDs that were selected in the list view. I will share the code in GitHub, and I'll provide the GitHub link in the description box. After creating the list button, the next step is you have to go to list view button layout, edit the list view, and you will see that list button in the custom button section. So I've already added this button called bulk shortlist in the list as in the list view button. So I'm clicking on save. Since you have added this button in the list view section, you are going to see the list view button once you open the job application tab. All list view buttons will be visible on the tab section. Here I'm selecting all these job application records, and I can click on this bulk shortlist button. This button goes to each of these records and updates the stage to shortlisted. Salesforce also provides one more button, which is of type detail page button. I have already created a button called schedule interview, which is of type detail page button. So for this example, I have created a flow which schedules an interview when this button is clicked. So internally, it is going to create an interview record and associate that record to the job application. It will also send an email notification to the candidate saying that his interview is scheduled. So here I created this button, which is of type detail page button, and I'm using URL, and I'm redirecting to a flow which is called schedule interview, and I'm passing the record ID to that schedule interview. We will discuss flows in detail in our upcoming sessions. I went to the page layout, and I've added this schedule interview button to the mobile and lightning action section on the job application layout. Now, when I go to a job application record, that button will be visible here. So I'm clicking on schedule interview button. This will open a lightning flow that I created, and it will ask you like who is the interviewer for this, what is the date and time for the interview, and the meeting URL. I'm just giving a dummy URL for now. When I click on next, I get a message called interview successfully scheduled. Behind the scenes, when you go to the job application, you will find a related interview record created for this object. So it creates this interview record internally. The fourth type is a object specific action. So for demonstrating that, let me go to job application. So here I created an action which is called create record action. The requirement that I have here is when I click on request background check action, I wanted to create a task record and assign it to one of my internal resource and tell them to initiate the background check by calling the employer of the candidate. So I'm creating activity when someone clicks on this request background check action. So when you go and check this request background check is internally creating a task record and it is relating it to job application. So when you create a action, you have an option to also give a visual layout that will be surfaced to the user. So here I created a layout and I've added subject, due date, priority, comments assigned to, related to, and status fields on that particular layout. It also provides you an option to give default values for each of these predefined fields. In this case, for comments, I'm giving a default description. For priority, I'm setting it as high. For status, I'm making it as not started. Subject, I'm giving background check call. Related to, I'm relating it to job application. So I'm pre-populating all these field values so that my recruiter or whoever is clicking this button has to just validate the data and click on save. Now let us see how this works. I'm just cloning an existing record. So when I go to this job application record, since I have already added this to the mobile and lightning action section, I see that request background check button. If you see in the activities, there are no activities, but when I click on this button, it will give me a visual interface. This is what is the layout that I have configured when I created the action. Subject, it will ask for the due date. Let me set it to Monday. Priority, status, and if you observe, all these values are pre-populated. And I am clicking on save. Once I click on save, a task record is created. In this way, we can create 4 different types of actions, buttons, and links in Salesforce custom or standard object. In the previous slide, we looked at custom buttons specific to a position object. Now let us shift our focus to global actions, a powerful feature in Salesforce that allows users to perform actions from anywhere in the app, regardless of the current object or page. Global actions appear in areas like the Global Actions menu, the plus icon in the top right, and on the home or charter pages. They are ideal for actions that don't rely on a specific record. Common examples include log a call, create a new task, launch a Salesforce flow, create a custom record like an interview or feedback. The key benefit of global actions is their context independence. Users don't have to open a specific record first. This makes it easier to quickly log information or trigger processes from any page, enhancing both usability and speed. In the next slide, we will walk through how to create a global action to log interview records so recruiters can enter interview details on the fly without needing to navigate to a candidate or a position first. Now let us see an example on how to create a global action. Let me navigate to setup, and from the home tab, type global actions. Click on global actions, click on new action. When you click on new action, you get a global action metadata screen. You can create different types of global actions like different types of object actions. So you have create record action, send email action, log a call action. You can use a custom Visualforce page, or you can use a custom Canvas app, or you can redirect using a custom Lightning component or a Lightning Web component. For this demonstration, I wanted to create an interview record. Since my requirement is to create a record, so I'm selecting the create record action. The next step is to select the target object. So in this case, my target object is interview object. If you observe, the interview object has a master detail relationship with job application. When any object has a master detail relationship onto a different object, Salesforce prevents creating a global action on that particular object. For this demonstration, let me change this master detail relationship to lookup relationship. Now, if I go back to global actions and click on new action, now you should see the interview object here. To reiterate, if you have a master detail relationship from an object to another object, on that object, you cannot create a global action. Now, once I select the target object, the next step is to give a label to it. So I'll give a custom label to it called create interview. If you want, you can give some description. Once a record is created, because this is a create record action, so whatever success message you want to display, you can type it here. So I'm just saying interview successfully created, and I'm clicking on save. Once you click on save, Salesforce redirects you to a layout specific to this action. So currently it just has the name. So I want job application to be selected. Since it is lookup, it is not mandatory, but you can click on this button and make it required. I'm selecting the date time, the meeting link. I want interviewer also to be selected. So I'm even making it required. So once I'm done with this, I'll click on save. You can also set some predefined values for these fields. So for now, I'm just leaving it as blank. Now, once your global action is created, in order to show it on this quick access menu or the global action menu, the plus icon, currently I don't have it here. In order to show your global action, you can go to publisher layout and you have to add this to the publisher layout. I'll click on edit and I'll add this new action to the publisher layout and click on save. Now this action will be visible when you click on the plus icon. Now you should see the create interview button here. Once you click on this, it will ask you to provide the details and click on save. So this will create an interview record. So once you create a global action, this action is also visible on any object. When you go to account object, page layout, and you go to any page layout, here also you will see the actions in the quick action section. You can drag and drop it to the quick action so that this action can be made available on any of the object. In the previous demo, we created a global action to log interview records. Now let us compare the capabilities of Lightning Web Components and Visualforce when it comes to building custom buttons in Salesforce. Both technologies allow us to extend button functionality, but they differ in flexibility, performance, and developer experience. LWC supports a broader range of modern UI and platform features, making it the preferred choice for building dynamic, responsive buttons in Lightning experience. Both LWC and Visualforce can call Apex methods, making them capable of handling complex business logic and DML operations. LWC offers a navigation mixin, which makes it easy to programmatically navigate to record pages, URLs, related lists, and modes. Visualforce requires manual URL building or page reference navigation. Visualforce provides a more declarative approach, easier to configure for admins with less code. LWC is code driven, giving developers more control and flexibility. LWC allows full styling flexibility using modern CSS and Salesforce Lightning design system. Visualforce buttons often look outdated and are harder to integrate into Lightning styling patterns. LWC offers faster load times and better performance in Lightning experience compared to Visualforce, which was designed for Classic. While both can be used to create custom buttons, LWC is the future-facing approach and provides better alignment with Lightning experience in terms of performance, styling, and user experience. Let us walk through some of the most important performance considerations and best practices when working with Salesforce buttons, links, and actions. When a button triggers heavy synchronous Apex or complex flow logic, users may face noticeable delays. This not only affects performance but creates uncertainty for the user. Instead, offload this processing to asynchronous Apex, platform events, or scheduled flows wherever possible. A common user complaint is I clicked the button but nothing happened. This silence leads to repeated clicks. Use spinners, toast notifications, or status messages to let users know their action is being processed. Even a small visual clue reduces frustration significantly. Always implement a mechanism like an ease processing flag in Lightning Web Components or disable on click in flows to prevent users from triggering the same logic multiple times. Without this, you risk duplicate records, emails, or transactions, especially in high traffic apps. Modern components like LWC and screen flows are faster and more efficient than Visualforce pages. They reduce full page reloads and offer better developer control over performance and UI behavior. It is not enough to test for functionality. Test how users interact under stress, with slow internet, or if the button doesn't respond instantly. Repeated clicks should be gracefully handled, not result in duplicate logic. Tools like navigation mixin in LWC allow smooth transitions between records and components without reloading the full page. Similarly, dynamic forms reduce clutter and loads only what is needed, improving overall page speed. Use object-specific actions for record-driven logic, like scheduling interviews or updating candidate status. Use global actions for general purpose tasks like creating a new record, logging a call, or submitting a generic request. This separation keeps buttons relevant and fast. Ensure backend logic is optimized. Avoid nested loops, unnecessary queries, and large synchronous operations. Also consider caching or default values to minimize load times and clicks. All these issues can lead to a poor user experience. In the next demo, we will see a live example, a Lightning Web Component that simulates a long-running operation without any visual feedback or button locking. We will see how easy it is for a user to click multiple times, leading to duplicate records. A classic case of frustration clicks. This demo sets the stage for discussing how to avoid such issues using the best practices we just covered. For this demonstration, I have created a Lightning Web Component and I've added it to the Lightning page. So if you go to the Lightning record page, so here if you see I've added this component called frustration click button component, which just has a button, and when someone clicks on this button, it creates an interview record. Let me go back to a job application, and currently if you see, I don't have any interviews. I have a button using which I can create an interview. I'm clicking on this button. So here if you see, I can click on this button in number of times. Though I see a processing message, the UI does not stop me from clicking this button. So this is what is a frustration click. Now when I go back to my related list now, duplicate interviews are created. Since I clicked the button 6 number of times, so 6 6 interview records are created. So this button, which was designed in Lightning Web Component, we did not ensure that the button is blurred when clicked once and when it is processing. We will dive deep into the Lightning Web Components in the future sessions.